extract it. It's very expensive and very concentrated, so all you need is just 1 or 2 drops in a blend. One of my favorite oils to use, I just love the smell of this one. It's great for perfume. You can use it as deodorant, in massage, in a stress blend, in baths, and of course all the therapeutic blends. I chose nutmeg because of the big discrepancy with the notes. I studied it as a base note. When I order it, it's a middle note, and the other books say it's a top note. Now, in the olden days, it was used for embalming. It has a sedative effect, and it's a hallucinogenic effect. And now I'll give you a story. Now, here is the other reason that I chose nutmeg. You have to be so careful with this oil, and here's my story. I was in a class, and one of my fellow students that morning had a sore neck. So just before she headed out the door, she just put on a few drops of nutmeg onto her neck. Now, she didn't dilute it. It was straight nutmeg, which she shouldn't have done, but she went racing out the door and started coming to class. Now, on the way to class, she got lost. Her concentration was impaired, and by the time she got to class, she was late. And when she got into class, she looked at the board, and she couldn't see the board very good. And then she couldn't see her book. She was just totally in a state of panic. At lunchtime, it was so bad that she went out looking for a pair of reading glasses. She didn't get it, and one of the students went and mentioned that, well, maybe it was the nutmeg giving some bad effects. And so she didn't buy the glasses, and the next day when she came to class, she was fine. The sore neck was gone, of course, but she didn't have anything wrong with her eyes. Everything was fine. So that is what nutmeg can produce if you don't watch what you're doing. Now, the reason that I'm choosing the orange is because there's a few different ones that I'm going to be telling you about. And in this one here, we'll tell you about the bitter, the blood, and the sweet orange. Now, the orange bitter, that was used in marmalades and in perfumes and in foods. There's many different essential oils that have different parts of the orange. For example, like the bitter orange, it produces petitgrain, which is a really nice essential oil, where the blossoms produce the neroli, which is an awesome, of course, one of my favorite oils. The orange family aids in digestion and skin problems. Oranges and lemons have been used traditionally to treat palpitations and to thin the blood and to cure scurvy. All the citrus and orange ones have a top note, so after about 6 months it's not going to be very therapeutic, so just use it in perfumes or in the scrub or in the wash just for the smell. The Food and Drug put peppermint into toothpaste and mouthwash and chocolate because of its benefits for the digestion. And studies show that the menthol is cooling and it's an anesthetic when applied to the skin, so it increases the blood flow to the applied area as well. Peppermint has been used for its detoxifying effect and for its digestive benefits, and like for irritable bowel syndrome. I use this one for an uplifting air spray. It's also good around the throat area for colds and the flu. But if you mix it for a spray and you can handle the peppermint oil, it's great for keeping you awake while you're driving. Anytime I think that a mouse is thinking of moving into my place and I don't feel like sharing my home with it, I just put a few drops of peppermint oil in the cupboards or wherever that I feel that the mouse is coming from, and the problem is solved very shortly because they can't stand the smell and they leave, so I don't even have to kill them. Okay, now here's the story that I started earlier on in the video about not to use peppermint on a headache. So this person went in, she had a terrible headache, and she went into the store and they told her to use peppermint oil. So they sold her pure peppermint oil and told her to put it on her forehead and around her neckline. So she did that. But what they did not know is that she has got a very bad problem with trying to stay asleep. She's even got sleeping pills, a big prescription from her doctor. So here we are. We've got this prescription is going to be fighting with this peppermint oil, which is going to be trying to keep you awake. So which one is going to win? See, when it comes to using essential oils, this is where you have to take responsibility yourself. Only you knows you better than anyone else, and you know what problems you have and what to avoid and what things that your body should be having and what it shouldn't be. So you could have actually prevented that little situation of being awake for a whole pile more time when you really needed the rest. I chose rose because nowhere in the warnings does it mention anything about any of the experiences that I had with rose oil. Now I'll be telling you a little bit of information about rose and why I chose this particular oil to explain to you about. Now there's a difference between the two roses. This one here is Rose Otto, which means that it's still steam distilled. This one here is Rose Damask, which means that there's a resin used to extract the oil. This one here is a 15 mil. This one here is a 5 mil. This one here I can use on me. This one here I cannot. And I will be telling you the stories later on. This one here, the Rose Otto, according to the information that I read, should be less expensive than the resin one, but for me, when I bought this one many years ago, I paid over double for this tiny little one than I did for this one. And this is the one that we usually used in the school. And hope you enjoy the stories. Rose is the one that I mentioned earlier, that there's 10,000 different species of roses and subspecies of roses. It takes about 60,000 roses to make 1 ounce and about 30 to make 1 drop, which is why it's so expensive. Just about all the students in the class liked Rose Damask. We all liked it and used it in classes because it had a lot of good properties and uses. It smelled really nice. It was really expensive, so a lot of us could not afford to buy it. And we used to buy it by the drop when we could, and it cost us about $2 a drop at that time. Now my first story is about Rose Otto. It's not quite as strong as Rose Damask. I used it in a preparation for a perfume, and I didn't think it was very strong. I was using it all the time. I love the smell, but whenever I went to work, my boss couldn't breathe when she was around me, and she felt really bad, and I felt really bad when I found out that she had a hard time breathing around me. It took us it took us months before we figured out that it was the rose that she was allergic to. She had a hard time breathing whenever she was around me because of that perfume. Now my story about the damask. I was taking a massage course
And when you're taking the massage course, when you're halfway through, you know the back of the massage really well, because you always start with the back every time you do the back before you could do the front. So you know the back part really well. So I got chosen to do the massage first, and I was doing it on a student. She was PMSing, and of course wanted to use one drop of rose. And so I put one drop in my hand with some grapeseed oil, put it on her. The massage went well, no problem. Next week, I got the same student again. This time she wasn't PMSing. And I got to do the same student again and of course she wanted the same oil. So again, one drop, rose damask, in my hand with the grapeseed, put it on, and I just started to do her back, and I lost my memory, and I didn't know what to do. And the teacher looks at me and she goes, "What's the matter?" And I goes, "I can't remember what to do." And she goes, "Lydia, you know how to do this like the back of your hand. You know the massage really well." And I goes, "I know, but I don't know how to do it now." Now, years ago when I was in an accident, I hit my head. And I knew that I had an accident. I didn't know my name. I knew my son was my son, but I didn't know his name. I knew my parents lived in Kelowna. I didn't know their name. They had to dig through my purse at the hospital to find out my name. That is like the stupidest experience, frustrating experience I've ever had of not being able to remember. And I got that same experience with one drop of rose damask. That's how it affected me.
I chose rosemary because it has so many good properties and uses. It's been used on the nervous system for depression and migraine. It even stimulates the memory. It's been it stimulates the nervous system, the brain, and bile production. And it could raise or lower the blood pressure depending on how low or how high the dose is. Rosemary has been used as a meat preservative and in the orchards to keep pests out of the orchards. It's been used to lessen muscle cramps for long-distance runners. Rosemary has been used with some degenerative conditions like multiple sclerosis or chronic fatigue syndrome. Use rosemary with care, and don't forget to look at the warnings before you use it. Now, sage is one essential oil which you really should have a lot of respect for. And I will tell you a story about mine in a few minutes here. But really be careful and really take heed of the warnings for this one particular oil. Now, here's my story on sage. In the late 1990s, I went and took my Reiki Master course. And during that time, we went to a trip to Osoyoos to the Sacred Mountain. Now, our Reiki Master at that time was telling us how to pick this sage, and what we were going to do with it later I will tell you, but we went and picked it. We all were going to pick it, so we all brought big plastic bags, went down the hill, picked a bunch of the stuff, put it in the back of the van, and coming back to Kelowna, we had a heck of a trip. Now the one that was driving and the passenger kept on spraying each other with peppermint essential oil to keep awake. But the two of us that were sitting in the back, no matter how hard we fought to stay awake, to keep our eyes open, we just could not. We felt like we were drugged. We both went on a real good trip. I seen colors which I never seen before. It was a fantastic trip. But I sure as heck would not be using that and trying to concentrate or being at work or doing anything important, that is for sure. So that is why I'm telling you this story about sage, because that was just from having the plant in the back of the van. Now, one of the reasons that we chose to pick some sage from the mountain was it is used a lot in in smudging. So if you want to clear with evil spirits or whatever, you just braid the stuff and then light it. When it's dry, you light it and kind of just smudge the room with a feather, and you spread it around the whole place. I mean, it really stinks. I don't really care for the smell of it, but that is one of the things that sage is used for. I use sage in a preparation for PMS, which worked very well for me. And I also use sage in the bedroom. When I brought all those plants back, I braided it all and made it into a big wreath and put it in the bedroom. And boy, it didn't take very long to fall asleep with that stuff in the room. Now I chose tea tree because many of you, again, are probably using it. I've been using it myself for over 30 years. The food and drug companies have been using tea tree a lot in toothpaste and many ointments because of its effect on mouth ulcers and mouth infections. Tea tree has been used in Aboriginal medicine, and it's been used in the surgical and dental practices. Tea tree is good for the respiratory system. It helps the nervous system for depression and hysteria and shock. Tea tree is very powerful immune stimulant, and it's great for bacteria, fungus, and viruses. I always keep tea tree in the medicine cabinet, and I've been doing that for years. Good for, if you have a cold sore or infection, a mosquito bite, or any kind of a bite. It's just great to kill bacteria, and it's good for fungus, and it's just really good all around. But again, don't forget the warnings. Now I chose ylang ylang because it is so popular, it smells nice, and has a lot of beneficial qualities. Now ylang ylang helps regulate adrenal flow, helps lower blood pressure, slows the heartbeat, stimulates hair growth, and slows breathing pace, and that's just a few of the things that it does. I've used ylang ylang in many blends because it smells so nice. People will accept to take a blend of this because of the nice smell, but it's so good on the nervous system. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something new. My wish with this video is to make you aware and learn as much as you can before using any essential oils. Because those who are unaware of being unaware. Namaste.